Hi guys, how are you? So let's cover today's analysis of the Hindu, and today is 21st of January 2017 will be presented to you by me, Dipanshu Singh. If you wish to read more about me, you can go through the slide. You can also follow me on Academy on this link to get updates on my courses and on my videos. Guys, please rate and review the course and recommend it to your friends. So practice question for today is regarding which Indian airport has become the second airport in the Asia Pacific region to achieve the carbon neutral status. These are your options. Mention your scores, mention your answer in the comment sections below. And answer for yesterday's question is B, Haryana. So the first page news is the Attorney General has called for recall of a verdict backing Lodha panel, Lodha report. So he appeared for the first time in BCCI Lodha Committee spat. He's seeking a complete recall of the July 18th judgment upholding the Lodha Committee reforms because he represented Railways, Armed Forces and Association of Indian Universities, which is obviously under the control of the Government of India. And he contended that these three bodies are great contributors in cricket, but Lodha Committee report has actually gone for one state and one vote system, which actually makes these bodies as associated members, stripping them of their voting powers. So we'll look at some of the major reforms proposed by Lodha Committee. It will just kind of a revision for you guys. So it talks about separating governing bodies for IPL and BCCI. Talks about legalizing betting but criminalizing match fixing. A 9-member Apex Council will replace the 14-member BCCI Working Committee. Then talks about separating governance into two parts: cricketing and non-cricketing. One person, one post. Former High Court judge to be the ethics officer, and a former Supreme Court judge as an ombudsman to resolve the internal dispute. And the final one is bringing BCCI under the purview of RTI Act and one state and one vote. The issue which was the main talking point in this verdict. So regarding this issue, so the Attorney General basically questioned on the barring appointment of minister as office bearer of private and body, and by asking why can't Railways minister become the office bearer. And he also asked to recall the court order as Lodha Committee was constituted to weed out the problem of match fixing due to the time of IPL, the Gurunath Mayappa case, if you remember. But according to him, it crossed its mandate by becoming a reformist body. So we'll look into that whenever relevant information comes in for that article. The next one is that again a scam relating to defense. So Rolls-Royce hired defense brokers. So a British High Court has actually found that Rolls-Royce, which actually makes these engines for this aircraft, all these engines in your Airbus and the fighter aircrafts are mostly made by Rolls-Royce. So they found guilty of engaging middlemen for swinging defense contracts between 2005 2009, violating Indian law, and they also paid bribes to income tax officials to remove the list of middlemen recovered during the raids on its Indian office. So two major defense deals are under the Scanners, Advanced Jet Trainer Hawk aircraft for Air Force, and Pegasus engine for Navy's Sea Harrier aircraft, which involved kickbacks. So in none of these Rolls-Royce accounts were payments regarding contract was marked advisor remuneration, thus providing kickbacks in deals. And taking cognizance of this ailing procurement policy, recently the defense procurement policy was unveiled in 2016. So we'll look at the special features of this defense procurement policy of 2016. So it talks about capital acquisition, which will divide into three categories. That is buy, outright purchase of equipment, whether Indian or indigenously designed, developed and manufactured, IDDM. This is important, or global. And second is about buy and make category. So long-term indigenous defense capabilities and procurement. It also empowers the Defense Acquisition Council to fast-track acquisition process earlier which was in the hand of the armed forces, and decreasing the order of priority for procurement from make to buy, that is global. And DPP was actually framed on the basis of the recommendation of the Dhirendra Singh committee report. So this also becomes important for our exams point of view regarding committees and their heads. Now, next one is that why public land for places of worship? This is a question being asked by Supreme Court. So it said that it is justified for secular government to part with acres of public land for. Is it justified for the government to part this land for religious places of worship? Which was asked by Chief Justice of India, Justice J.S. Kher. It is against the doctrine of basic structure. That's what he referred to. So in SR Bommai case, the Supreme Court held that the Constitution prevents the state from either identifying itself with or favoring any particular religion or sect or domination. So there's also a reference in the Constitution of India article which bars the state to interfere into religious practices, or not exactly. The state can actually interfere, but it cannot favor a particular religion or a community. So that is the reference. That is with the reference of the Constitution of India and relevant articles of that, and that's what the Supreme Court said, that it has gone against the doctrine of basic structure. Now, legal experts are actually divided in the Supreme Court upholding order for Jallikattu. So opinion is divided on this on agreeing of the Supreme Court to stay on Jallikattu. So Some of the legal experts say that it is an unprecedented and unofficial stay of the delivery of judgment, while the others say that it is just an act of practicality in the lights of talks that an ordinance may be issued, taking into consideration of the public opinion of bringing back Jallikattu. So, new ordinance could have been passed. That can be introduced to circumvent Supreme Court order, but thus it will make this ban FS futile. And other legal experts say that the weak delay can lead to promulgation of ordinance that could defeat the 2014 ban anyways. So delay or not, the centre was ready with an ordinance route. And the former judges asserted that the state and central government were ready for a compromise legislation, but not delaying it. Purpose of avoiding animal cruelty could have been defeated. Moreover, the government actually came for delay rather than accusing a Supreme Court for law and order situation. So, in a way, other legal experts say that the independence of judiciary is not at all threatened. So, this is just a speculation. A lot of legal experts are divided on this issue, so we'll see more of it. But then I'm pretty much sure that the ordinance route will be used. And there was an issue that why involve central government when the state governments can also issue an ordinance. That is just a move which is that has taken a political course just to play safe. So we'll look into it once more details emerge on this issue. The next one is that Election Commission has refused to scrub off indelible ink. So officially it has been clarified that the inedible ink, it should be indelible. There's a mistake over here. Anyway, the indelible ink would be used in election in 5 states rather than the marker pen. So marker pen is actually more cost effective, 50% cheaper than indelible ink, and were used by Kerala and civic polls and council polls in Maharashtra. So there's an issue going on regarding this, so whether to use it or not, because obviously, but there are concerns of ensuring free and fair elections. And indelible ink produced one of its kind of it's basically manufactured at Mysore Paints and Varnish Limited, and it has produced prototypes of marker pens with ink vials with assistance of the National Physics Laboratory and the National Chemical Laboratory and the National Research Development Corporation. And MBFL was basically started by Maharaja of Mysore in 1937 and is providing ink for every government election since 1962. So this question can be asked in UPSC or some other exam of SSC or government exam, that who manufactures this indelible ink. Next one is that 2016 is the hottest year on record. So this is a report by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of US. So taking global average of land and sea surface temperature for the entire year, the data for 2016 was that the highest since record keeping began in 1880, and temperatures have spiked to new national highs in parts of India, Kuwait and Iran, while sea ice melted faster than ever in the fragile Arctic. The earth actually sweltered under the hottest temperature in the modern times for the third year in a row, raising new concerns about the quickening pace of climate change. And the global average temperature last year was 1.69 Fahrenheit higher above the 20th century average, and 0.007 or 0.004 degrees centigrade warmer in 2015. That was the last record-setting year. Now, Indian peak. So there have been unusual spikes in temperature which were seen in Falodi in India, which reached 51 degrees centigrade. Can you imagine that on May 19, making India's hottest temperature ever? And the Asian peak was in Mitriba in Kuwait, which had hit an all-time high of 54 degrees centigrade on July 21, which may be the highest temperature ever recorded in all of Asia. And the World Meteorological Organization, Geneva, Switzerland. So basically, the atmospheric concentration of both carbon dioxide and methane has actually reached record levels. The main reason for these are the rise in the burning level of the fossil fuels like oil and gas, which send the carbon dioxide, methane, and other pollutants known as greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and which warm the planet. And another factor has been the Pacific Ocean warming trend of El Nino, which increases the planet's already rising warmth level. So there's an indirect link between El Nino and the rising global temperatures, which is yet to be confirmed, but this is just based on a report. There is no as such credible evidence on the direct link between El Nino and the rise of global temperatures. And the next is international news. So India has stepped up submarine induction as China's presence is growing in the region of Indian Ocean. So keeping itself in line with the new maritime doctrine that places India as a net security provider in Indian Ocean region. 2 Scorpion-clad diesel-electric submarines are expected to be inducted in the Indian Navy this year. One is the Kanderi, which we covered in previous edition of the Hindu, which is named on the Maratha fort. And the first one is the Kalvari, which is expected to finish its sea trials before monsoon. Second, I've already told you the Kanderi. And India had contracted with 6 Scorpion submarines from the DCNS of France. This organization is famous for the famous Scorpion submarine leak data, which was leaked from Australia. And then keeping an eye on the subsurface Chinese movement in Indian oceans, India has procured the P-81 long-range maritime patrol aircraft, which is useful in detecting the submarines under sea. And posing a submarine in the Indian Ocean region is a signature of Chinese intent and capability, which India must readily answer. The next is the business page news. So Center has shifted its disinvestment advice to new department. So basically the government has transformed and transferred the role of advising the government on how to utilize the proceeds from disinvestments from the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management to the Department of Economic Affairs. Very important news, guys. There can be a definite question regarding this, and that who manages this advice, advising the government regarding disinvestment. It has been moved from DPAM to Department of Economic Affairs, and the Department of Economic Affairs is in the Finance Ministry will now be in charge of this financial policy in regard to the utilization of the proceeds of the disinvestments channelized into the NIF, that is the National Investment Fund. So it will done to streamline the process, because the Department of Economic Affairs is in charge of the budget making, which obviously includes deciding what to do with the proceeds for disinvestment. So it will make it more streamlined and more smoother to manage these records of what needs to be done, what needs to be done for the fund. And it would also have been unusual if the role had been shifted to another ministry altogether. So the background of the news is that during the budget speech in 2016-17, Finance Minister had announced that renaming the previously known Department of Investment as DIPAM. And also the Union Cabinet had recently approved an alternative mechanism to decide on the modalities to do with the stake sales in public undertakings, so as to speed up this process. So remember that, guys, disinvestment proceeds management has gone back to Department of Economic Affairs from DIPAM. So this is it for today, guys. I hope you like the video. So until next video, I hope you have a good day, and thank you so much.